Hey friends, Sleepy here. Welcome to an episode of the weekly playlist. It's Friday, so it's time to share with you guys the games I have been playing during the week. I share my thoughts and opinions on these games, and of course, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts, your opinions on the games I shared you. Let me know if you guys have played them or not. I'd also like to hear what games you guys have been playing lately, and if you have a recommendation on a game you think I should try out, let me know, because you guys always recommend really fun games, and I have a nice little list going of games to keep an eye out for to add to my collection. So we'll start off here. First game. Now, this one I have been playing, but not as much time because the last game that I shared with you guys is the one that's been eating up the most of my time. But that is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order for the Xbox One, which this is an amazing game. Can't recommend this one enough. If you're a big fan of Star Wars games and you're looking for a really good single player, third person adventure game, this is a game you've been waiting for. This is the kind of Star Wars game I've wanted for years. Now, I was always a little hesitant with EA titles because of how they are lately. The Star Wars Battlefront games, which I do have. The first one was fun and stuff, but it was a big disappointment and letdown compared to the old Battlefront games. You know, EA really just one of their microtransactions and they're focused on just multiplayer stuff and no single player campaign, anything on that. Just really kind of sours your taste with that company, but I was surprised at how wonderful this game is, and it is awesome. Now it plays like a similar play style to like a Dark Souls game, just because of the brutal difficulty that the game has. There's 4 different difficulty settings, and each one is harder. Now it's not as difficult as like the Dark Souls games are, but it is still a challenging title, and it's not one where you can just run through and hack and slash guys and button mash and think you'll win, because the enemies will counter you, they parry your moves, and they can be tough at times. Now, there are stormtroopers in the game, but then there are also force users you fight, which are much more difficult. There's also droids, and there are enemy creatures and stuff, and some creatures are stronger than others. And it's just a really fun game as you progress through the story. You know, you can unlock more powers, and you can upgrade the main character, Cal, who is a former Jedi Padawan, so he's not a Jedi Master. And so that's one thing I like about him is he's a flawed character, damaged character, and he's not perfect. So you're not a super being like a Darth Vader or a Yoda type character, which you would just destroy guys. And I really like that you have to really fight and really time your attacks and learn how to counter properly in order to defeat them. Especially some of the bosses are extremely difficult, and the only way to beat them is with precision timing and attacking at the correct times and when to deflect and attacks and stuff. So it's a really fun game, and it's really worth checking out. It also has some aspects of like an Uncharted game where you can run along walls and platforming sections, and just kind of like a big mixture of a bunch of different games thrown into one with a Star Wars mix, and it's really fun. Really love the characters in the game too. The voice acting is done really well. The music is amazing. The atmosphere just really draws you in. The worlds are absolutely stunning and beautiful. The graphics are great. I only have a 1080p TV and it looks amazing, so I can only imagine how awesome this game looks in 4K with the HDR and an Xbox One X and a 4K TV. Really fun game. The story is also good. 100% single player, no multiplayer at all. And they are talking about possible DLC for this, but there's no like confirmed anything about it. Wonderful story though. And I've been playing this a lot since it came out at the end of November, and I'm loving this game. And it's one I highly suggest you guys pick up if you're looking for a good single-player Star Wars game. It is awesome. Now, I have not been put as much time in this game though, is because the last one I'll be talking about is the one that's been just eating up a lot of my time. But it's a wonderful title, and I think you guys should try it out. Check it out for the Xbox One, PS4, or the PC. Very fun Star Wars title. Next up, here's a title I only put in like a half hour into this. This one I want to delve into more. I just picked it up recently, but I've been playing its sequel more, and that is Tokyo Extreme Racer 2 for the Dreamcast. I've wanted this one forever. It's always priced really high, but I got a really good deal on this on Black Friday. My buddy hooked me up, and it was awesome to get this. Really fun game. Love the Tokyo Extreme Racer series. This really expanded upon the stuff that they set up in the first Tokyo Extreme Racer, added more cars, more tracks, more enemies, and it's just a much better game. Now, I'm not going to talk too much in depth from this, like I said, because I just played for a half hour just to make sure that it worked, and it did. And I really do like this game. It's much better than the first Tokyo Extreme Racer that was released on the Dreamcast. It controls a lot better, has better lighting, better car models, and graphics. Everything is just much better on it. I have an absolute blast with it. I definitely can't wait to put more time into this one, but I'm currently playing its sequel, which I'm about to share with you guys here. Definitely recommend getting Tokyo Extreme Racer 2 for Dreamcast. Just know though that it is a pricey title. $50 to $100 is what people usually ask for a copy. And this is the only copy I was able to find locally. My buddy found one out of all their stores. Finally found a copy after all these years. So happy to have that and to play it. Definitely recommend that one. And now I'm going to share with you guys the game that's just been eating up a lot of my time this week. Just been playing it every night. And on my day off, I was put a lot of time into it, and that is Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 for PlayStation 2, which is my absolute favorite in the Tokyo Extreme Racer series right now. Is here number 3 on the PS2. This has the most rivals. You have over 600 to defeat in the game, over 200 miles of track, and you have 3 different cities: Tokyo, Osaka, and then there's one other one I can't, Ogana or something like that. Different cities, different enemies in it. So I picked Tokyo just because I'm familiar with the tracks there, and it's the same as it's been since the first Tokyo Extreme Racer. So this one, the 4th one released in the series, so, the tracks are the same. I mean, there's a little tweaking though. They've upgraded. There's more of the city to see. This one also has traffic on the opposite side. The earlier Tokyo Extreme Racer games you only saw the track going the way you were, and you didn't see opposite traffic, which this one you do see, which is really cool. Really like that. Has great music too. There's fun little tunes which you can change while you're racing, and the battle music and stuff you can adjust. There's 3 different ones for that. And it's just a really fun game. Have a lot of the familiar enemies from the past games. Like you have the rolling guys as the first enemies. You have the Cupid's arrows. You have some of the same wanderers, and you have some of the same bosses and stuff that were in the previous one. But they've added a lot of new ones too as well. And I've been having a blast with this. Now, my first car I bought, was a Mitsubishi FTO. Now, I called it a GTO last week. That's what I thought it was, but it was an FTO. And I actually just bought a Mitsubishi GTO Twin Turbo Edition car, and I'm working on upgrading that. Because my first car, I was able to beat the first 92 opponents with that car. But now that I'm facing the bosses and some of the other wanderers, that car just is maxed out in what I can upgrade it, so I needed to get a new car, and so I'm now working on getting that. I've been grinding through. Here's a little tip for you guys. If you can find like a racer, like I found 2 of them. One was called Pole Dancer, and another, I can't remember the other guy's name, but I kept racing them over and over. Beat the one guy like 15 times in a row, and beat the other guy like 12 times in a row. I was getting like 500 to 800 credits every race, and I was able to use that to upgrade my cars. Because that's another thing though, when you play these games, is you have to upgrade your vehicle, and this one has a lot of customization in it. So you can adjust the look, you can change the hood, you can change the front bumper, rear bumpers, you can change the suspension, the clutch, the engine, brakes, you can change the tires, the color, you can adjust the color of your vehicle too, which I really like. The other games, it charges you money to change your car, to paint it. This one you can adjust the paint and color anytime you want, and it doesn't charge you anything. And so I was having a black car with the red tinted windows. Now I have a red car with a green tinted windows, and it looks really cool. My new car, the Twin Turbo, is a nice little gray one, which I'm not sure what color scheme I want to go with that one is. I'm currently just, beating old rivals so I can get more money, so I can keep leveling up my vehicle, so I can be more competitive. Because I was able to beat the second boss in the area, the Bloodhound guy. And what's really cool is I completely forgot about this from when I first played this game, that if you race him when it's raining out, which it was, and rain actually turns into blood. And so when you're normally racing in the rain, your car will spray water behind the tires. Well, when you're racing him, you spray blood behind the tires, and it was really awesome. It took me like 12 tries to beat the dude, but I finally defeated him, and it was really awesome as I got ahead of him, and, I'm racing up. He flies up and rear ends me. He goes right past me, and then slams right into a taxi guy, dead, and I beat him. I was so freaking excited. I screamed out, yes. My wife asked if everything was okay, and I'm like, yeah, I just beat this asshole that I've been trying to forever for like a half hour trying to beat that guy, and I finally beat him. So that was really exciting. And I unlocked his car, which you can actually buy for like $144,000, which I didn't want to spend that kind of money on the car, so I bought that GTO. But it was really cool that you can unlock custom cars. That's another thing. When you guys beat the various rivals in the game, because they're all broken up into clubs or gangs, and some will have like 6 guys, 7, 8, 9 guys, and they have different names, like the Rolling Guys is an example, who's the first group. They have their 6 members, so you beat all the members in that gang, and then their leader will challenge you. Well, I completely forgot about that this game actually has, sometimes you have to race 2 opponents at once, and that's what I had to do when I finally was able to challenge the leader of the Rolling Guys, and he was a lot more difficult than I remember. He actually took a couple tries, he was really fast, and when you get his health bar depleted to half, he actually calls in Rolling Guy number 2 to race with you, and then you have to start over. His health bar restarts, and then you have to race 2 of the guys, and that was really challenging, but I did finally defeat them, and I was so excited, because once I beat them, then one of the bosses appeared in the racing game. So wonderful series, guys. This is an arcade racer. I highly recommend the Tokyo Extreme Racer games, especially Tokyo Extreme Racer 3. It's very cheap for the PlayStation 2. Get it for like $10, $12 online, and it is a wonderful game. A lot of customization in the game, a lot of stuff racing. It's really fun. Now, I mean, it's not as in-depth as your Forza or your Gran Turismo games, but it's still a really fun arcade game. It's a racing RPG, basically, is what I can best describe it, especially the quest mode. You get a car, you level up, you defeat opponents, and you just grind it out to get more money so you can get better and eventually be the champion and defeat everybody and be the best racer on the highways of Tokyo and in the different highways in Japan. Now, when you drive around the tracks, you can choose which way you want to go. You will find rivals racing around. They'll have a little R above their head. Now, if they're blue, that means you have not raced them yet. If it's red, it means you raced them and they beat you. If they're orange, it means they're a boss. And if they're green, it means you already beat them. And then your car is represented by a little yellow arrow on the racetrack, on the little map there, so you can see where you are in relation to other drivers. And then when you find a person you want to race against, get behind them and flash your headlights, and it'll initiate the race. And then both of you start out with an SP bar, your spirit bar, and when your spirit bar is depleted completely, that person loses the race. So the whole object of the game is to get ahead of your opponent and race ahead of him, and then try to avoid obstacles, because if you ran into cars, you hit the sides of the track, your bar will be depleted. And if you hit something really hard, you can take a huge chunk of your bar off. Even if you're ahead of the guy, and if you rear end somebody, you can lose a race, because I had that happen to me a couple times. Highly recommend getting the high grip tires, especially if you're in rain weather, because the tracks are really slick and slippery, and the water makes your car slide around, and you'll really want those tires that can grip the tracks really awesome. You can also get snow, which I know there's a thing, if you hold a certain button down, you can make it snow. I don't know if playing through the normal game you'll run into snow, but I have run into rain, where some nights it'll be sunny, which most of it's like not sunny, but clear skies. Most of it's clear skies at night. But occasionally I do run into nights where it is raining, and it is just a fun game. I've just been so addicted to the Tokyo Extreme Racer series. I actually recently learned of a one for the PSP, Street Supremacy, where that one you actually get to join gangs and become the leader of it and defeat other ones and recruit people into your group. So I really want to check that one out. That's one that I missed out on, and I'm going to have to keep an eye out for that Street Supremacy for the PSP, because that's going to be awesome. Cannot get enough of these damn Tokyo Extreme Racer games. I've already, like I said, put in days and days and days, hours and hours and hours into this game, and this is one I want to actually fully beat. All 600 guys I want to beat. Now, I do know that there is an issue with one of the rivals. You have to have, I don't know, over $1 million or something, and you can't actually get $1 million because the game only goes up to a certain thing, so you have to use a Game Shark. So I have a Game Shark for the PS2, so once I get to that person, I will use that Game Shark so I can actually challenge him Otherwise, I don't want to use it to cheat or anything. I don't like cheating in games. I like the actual challenge of defeating the game and running through it. But I have been having a blast with Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 for the PS2. It's my favorite in the series. I highly recommend you guys check out. It is so awesome. I'm going to also start playing Import Tuner Challenge for the 360, which is basically Tokyo Extreme Racer 4. They just changed the name of the series when it went to the 360 for some reason, but really fun game I think you guys should check out. Do our quick little recap. I talked about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This is a wonderful single player, third person action adventure title. Plays similar to like Dark Souls in that it is difficult. When you do meditate, where you can level up and stuff, it respawns enemies, and when you kill enemies you get XP and stuff, and you can level up your force powers. You can change the way your character looks. You can find collectibles and stuff, and it is a wonderful Star Wars adventure that I think you guys should try out. Talked about Tokyo Extreme Racer 2. Now it's not as good as Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 here, but it's still a wonderful title for the Dreamcast, and if you're a fan of the series like I am, you got to get all of them and play all of them because it's just fun. It's not the best racing game in the world. They're just addictive, and they're just a really fun game. Just be warned, though, Tokyo Extreme Racer 2 is an expensive title. $50, $80, $100 for a copy is what most people charge for. This one's in, like, brand new condition, and I got it a great deal on a disc. Has no scratches at all, so lucky with that. And then the one I've been sinking the most time to, and this is eating up a lot of my time, is Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 for the PS2. Wonderful title. 600 rivals. There's hundreds of cars. This one also is the first one in the series to use licensed vehicles. The other one had the same cars in the game. They just couldn't call them by their license name because they would have had to pay the money. So they just called it by the car's classification code, which the real codes are, is what they call the cars in the other ones. This one has the real names in it, so it's a wonderful race series. I think you guys should try Arcade Racer. It's fun, basically a racing RPG that you get hundreds of hours of enjoyment out of, and it's just a fun, relaxing game. So let me know if you guys played any of these games. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on them. I'd also love to hear what games you guys have been playing this week. And again, if you have a recommendation on a title you think I should try out, let me know, because you guys have recommended some wonderful titles that I'm trying to keep an eye out for. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. Have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see you next time.